what does liberal mean? Some of you will know, some of you won't know what liberal actually means. And it's the single most radical political programme in the history of humanity. The idea that not the aristocracy, not the tyrants, but ordinary people were entitled to be listened to vote, and to have their opinion heard. What's that? Was groundbreaking. And that was in the 16th, 17th century. It's still pretty radical in some parts, many parts of the country, parts of the world now. It rejects this false choice of the people versus the elite. And it's a struggle for the liberty of the individual, civil rights, human rights, democracy, the rule of law, really important. We've seen it in this country not being adhered to in recent years. Freedom of speech, freedom of the press, freedom of assembly, freedom of belief or lack of belief. Liberalism, as a philosophy, is committed to science, empirical reality, and truth. The irony is not lost on me, however. The preamble to the Liberal Democrat Constitution, the party I belong to in the UK, is really great. You know, it's something that I've got on a little thing on my fridge, that we exist to build and safeguard the rights of a fair, free, and open society, balance the fundamental values of liberty, equality, and community, and nobody should be enslaved by poverty, ignorance, or conformity. That's a real humdinger, isn't it?
Yes.
It really is worth believing in, and it's worth fighting for. And that's why they're trying to get me kicked out of the party. The sexual orientation and gender identity. We're talking about gender identity, and it's, you know, we all know what it is. It's absolute bollocks. Oh, sorry, nonsense, technical term. Because it's always a circular definition. It's not a proper definition of anything, and it relies on sex role stereotypes that I know many of people here have been fighting for the past 50, 60, even 70 or 80 years in this country. The sexual orientation, for instance, is a protected characteristic. It's when a person is either same-sex attracted, homosexual, opposite sex attracted, heterosexual, or both sex attracted, bisexual. Simple. A real statement of the fairly obvious. But then Stonewall unilaterally changed it. They said that homosexuality, being gay or lesbian, is defined as same gender attraction. So the gay man is attracted to people of the same gender, whether they are actually male or a woman pretending to be a male. And similarly for women, lesbian females are thereby supposed to be attracted to women as well as men who say they're women. It's bonkers. We all know that. And however, gender identity, God knows, it's not actually enshrined in law here yet, but it's, you know, we could go on for hours about how outdated it is and how that they're trying to force people, non-conforming kids, into restrictive, regressive boxes. Next slide, please. Liberal International. My party in UK is part of Liberal International. It's a worldwide organisation, federation of liberal and supposedly progressive democratic political parties. It started in Oxford, where I actually live now, 77 years ago, and liberals came from 19, mostly European countries, formed this federation. It spread liberal values and human rights worldwide. And more recently, a conference in Andorra drew up a restatement of the values with 200 delegates from 56 countries spanning 5 continents, and endorsed its manifesto. So the adherence to liberalism has spread in the last 70 years. And, you know, people are struggling to get this promoted worldwide. As Liberal International is a global, locally in Europe, I say that in Europe, it's local there, the mainland for our little group of islands. The struggle to develop and promote liberalism has been delegated, if you like, to the Alliance of Liberal and Democrats within Europe. So the Liberal International covers the whole world, and ALDI, whose conference I went to a few years ago when we were still part of the EU, don't start me, is responsible for promoting that within Europe. Recently, last month, just in the middle of our own campaign, for the general election. Recently there have been EU elections, and Renew Europe is a group. It's composed of ALDE plus Renaissance, which is French. Mr. Macron doesn't like the word liberal, but that's what it is. Plus USR plus. Now USR plus is a Romanian group, and actually their strapline is a Romania without thievery. I mean, I'd love a UK without thievery. I don't think they should be the only ones to have that motto. But you know, it is a problem. Corruption, political corruption, is a problem worldwide. It's not, we're not indemnified from it here by any manner of means. But the Renew Europe group, you'll see in this picture, there's a little group of 77, I think, MEPs been elected out of 720. That's 10%, which is not a bad number for, you know, a minor political group. Elected in June 2024. I could go on for hours about that as well. 24 member states out of the 27 that are EU members. Some have sent multiple MEPs, some have sent just one, and there's about 4 or 5 countries didn't elect a single Liberal. There we are. That's part of the fun. Also, on the right, there's a picture of the ALDE party manifesto. It's page 23. If you want to look at it online, you're most welcome. But if we go to the next slide, I've tried to put that in the next. It's a bit content rich, but I've highlighted it. All the highlights and underlinings are my work, not theirs. So you know that's what I've tried to draw your attention to. They want an open and tolerant society, and to my way of thinking, an open and tolerant society is code. It's code for, you know, trans, inclusive. That's really what they're saying. But if all of this is done in code, you'll understand that. They're trying to improving LGBTI++ rights and supporting individuals in building their families through paths to recognise parenthood, protecting the rights of children. I think paths to recognise parenthood is what we were hearing about earlier, surrogacy, you know, or IVF, but certainly surrogacy. And you know, this is obviously against the UN Convention on the Rights of the Child, let alone CEDAW. Don't start me. But if they're saying that they're protecting the rights of the child, that's fine. If you look back at the Liberal International, they were keen to embrace freedom and openness so long as they don't infringe the rights of others. And that's the sticking point. This is always a sticking point, isn't it? Also, they want to introduce an EU-wide ban on conversion therapy. And this crops up again and again. It's certainly in our manifesto, sad to say, for this general election, but it's not the only place where that's been found in the election. And they're also talking about combating gender-based violence by calling for ratifying the rest of the Istanbul Convention. And that's a bit iffy. It's kind of good, but not so good, because it also includes males in the definition of females. Another part of it is expand the EU crimes list to include hate speech. They're going to include speech and hate crime and include gender, sex, gender identity, and sexual orientation and disabilities. So, you know, obviously wanting to make sure that we're not allowed to speak about transgenderism, even though it's a real pain. Every one of us, they say at the end, is free to be who we want to be, regardless of gender identity, sexual orientation, race, religion, or any other aspect of our identity. I think that includes the nudism we heard about this morning, and it probably includes all sorts of other paraphilias as well. We've covered that, but we mustn't forget ourselves. We're free to express ourselves, pursue our goals, and make our own choices. And we want to create a society cherishing diversity and that safeguards your right to live without fear in a free and just society. It would be nice if we could live without fear. in a free and just society. We're going to look at the policies of Fianna Fáil. Geraldine, it was nice to see Geraldine talking about the Stramash in Ireland recently, because I picked on Fianna Fáil generally because they're part of the Renew group. You know, that cluster of yellow seats in the European Parliament. They're part of ALDE, they're part of Renew, and their manifesto included, it's quite dense, but I just want to draw your attention to implement the national LGBT plus and the LGBTI plus youth strategy to create a safe, supportive and more inclusive Ireland. More inclusive of transgender, obviously, is less inclusive, is exclusive of women. And again, they also want to legislate to ban conversion therapy, bearing in mind that conversion transition is a form of gay or lesbian conversion therapy practice. They're going to create and implement a general health policy for trans people based on best practice. Best practice model for care, as in WPATH standards. I think we all know they're not talking about it, but WPATH standards have been blown wide open, haven't they, in recent months? We all know that they are not safe and they're not in the interests of children. And also, at the bottom of this paragraph, looking at whether there should be a referendum on Article 41.2 of the Constitution. That's the one that Geraldine was talking about this morning, that was held on International Women's Day. Trounced, absolutely trounced. 67% was against the family relationships change, and 74% on catering for the role of women in the home and the only mention of women at all in the Constitution. And that was really great, because women were able, and sensible people were able to vote in this, and they absolutely brought it down. Even though it wasn't in our own country, there was a lot of talk about this on Woman's Hour on Radio 4. People looking at for and against, whether it was an outdated bit of stuff, you know, keeping women in the home or just keeping alive that women do a lot of work at the surplus to their normal activities. So that's the sort of thing that they want to get over. They're also focused on completing the work of the interdepartmental group tasked with examining legal recognition of non-binary people. I think you're either binary or you're non-binary. I mean, that's a bit binary anyway, isn't it? But our shared future also talks about the need for, remove the need for a person age 16 to have 2 special reports before they can get gender recognition, by providing for self-declaration, self-identification. We know this is dangerous. We know that children of 16 haven't got the competence to make these sort of choices. There we are. And right at the bottom, this last little bit, I'll read it out because that's right at the bottom, you might not be able to see it. To ensure that government departments take positive steps, including the use of the correct pronouns and, where possible, making possibility on official forms to assist non-binary people. The European Democrat Party, you'll see from the slide, again, it's quite dense. They mention this, but they don't make quite as much of it as some of the other parties do. Your rights, our fights. We want everybody to be able to live freely. I stole an apple pie, or rather, father an apple pie, but it's quite bland and blasé. Diversity and inclusion. We believe in a united, fair, and equal society. Our fight will be against obstacles to an inclusive society, embracing transgender, transgeneration, and another bit of diversity. That's an example of a party which is in the Renew umbrella, if you like, the Renew group. There's 77 MEPs, but isn't quite as one message as this. Look at the EPP manifesto. I haven't made a slide about this because there's nothing to see here. There's really nothing to see. And, you know, while we can't say that evidence of absence is absence of evidence, they're still quite happy, I think, to go along with a lot of these things, but they haven't got it in the manifesto, something there. EPP is a kind of conservative Christian Democrat, Christian socialist type of party that is a winning sort of group, and they don't have anything like that in their manifesto. So it's a clear difference, if you like, between the liberal progressive parties that say they're progressive, but and the ones that actually won in the European elections.